Hello everyone, my name is Denis Prue. The purpose of this demo is to show you how the service portal can provision end-to-end a service, and by completing everything as per the customer rules underneath, it will provision the service end-to-end. So this slide here demonstrates what's going to be shown in the demo. Like an operator that does not know IP MPLS can basically have a work order with the service detail name, the QoS bandwidth parameters, and the two endpoints, and via the service portal can provision a service through a single form, hit submit, and the service portal, using all the SAM features and the SR features, will create the service end-to-end on the network. Now it doesn't matter if it's a one service type like a layer 3 VPRN or a layer 2 VPLS VLL, or combinations of. The portal will basically create a service from endpoint A to endpoint B. And in this case here, we have two rings. On the left side we have ring 1, and on the right side we have ring 2. Now even though the service portal actually provisions the service, it actually provisions also the tunnels. And I'm going to be demonstrating this through a demo today that I have. And the demo is actually using a real live network. So what I'll do is I'll launch the 5020 SAM just to show you what the network looks like. Here's our core nodes. There's 4 core nodes. There's a ring on the left and a ring on the right. So we're going to be provisioning a service from the ring on the left to the ring to the right. And if you notice, I did it on purpose. I did not create any IP MPLS tunnel in this, just to show you that the service portal will create automatically these service tunnels if they're required. And for the same, when it deletes the service, it will delete the service tunnels if they're no longer required. So let me launch the service portal web application. And the first thing the service portal asks you when you launch it is actually authentication. This authentication can be any authentication used at the customer today. And some customers, they're using TACX Plus, some are using Radius, and some are using Microsoft Active Directory. So once I log into the portal, it knows who I am. It knows I am a service provider user, which is allowed to list the services the way the customer has defined them. Now if you notice, the services are no longer named VPRN, VPLS, VLL. They actually name whatever the customer wants to name these services. Now because the service portal knows I am a service provider that can do provisioning, I can go into edit mode and I can actually create services end to end. So let me show you how we do a point-to-point service from one ring to the other ring. The form appears, and if you notice, there's only 3 steps: 1, 2, 3. So we give it a name. We could call it any name that we want for the service. And then if you say back, that actually creates a backup services. In this case, the architecture has been put in the portal. So if we know we want to have redundancy, in this case, it's actually creating 2 services end to end. Now remember, this is a specific customer application, so this is what has been written for one customer. Where you type your bandwidth, the same idea there. The portal already knows the bandwidth for a point-to-point service, the default bandwidth for this customer, so we don't need to specify it. But then if it is on the work order, then the customer wanted to see it in CIR, PR values, and so on. In some cases, these values packages could be 200, 300 meg, gold, silver, bronze. It can be anything the customer wanted to be. So in this case, we're going to leave it as default bandwidth. And then the next step is the last step, is just selecting the 2 endpoints. So from one ring to the other ring. Now, all this information you see in the screen is display only. So when I hit select here, it's actually going to the 5620 SAM into the network. So I see the exact configuration there is in the network. Now if there was 1,000 rings, only the rings that this user is responsible for provisioning would appear in the window. So I'm going to select ring 1, the left side, the left ring, and it's only going to show me the nodes where you're allowed to provision point-to-point services. So I select 71, and then it actually shows me all the states of the port and the ones that are allowed to have a point-to-point services in the form. So let's just pick one here for example, and I'm finished selecting the first endpoint. So the next thing we're going to do is select the second endpoint. So I go to the next ring, I'll go ring 2. I select the ring, it shows me the routers that are in that ring. I select 70, and then we'll select the port. We'll pick the first one, and hit apply. So basically the operator is finished entering the data, and this information displayed is just so they can validate it with the work order. So I'm going to hit submit, and when I hit submit, you're going to see these tunnels being created. Because there are no IP MPLS RSVP tunnels on the network, the service provisioning actually creates the tunnels. So I'll show you that. I hit submit. Now it's doing all the work order steps that's required for that customer. So if you notice, it's starting to create the tunnels because they're required before the services are created. So the tunnels get created in the network as required, and then after that the service portal starts creating these services. It could be layer 3 or layer 2 services, it doesn't matter what's underneath the portal. It just uses all the features of 5628 SAM to create a point-to-point service. Now it's creating the backup service as required by the architecture, and the last thing it'll do actually is make sure that all the QoS policies had been downloaded to the nodes, so that gold, silver, and bronze and so on is proper settings. Now the operator, only thing is concerned about is yes, the service was provisioned end to end and it is successful. Now that doesn't mean that the service is can actually send packets to the network. So the next step the operator wants to do is perform a service OAM test. So when we click the perform service OAM, the service portal will take care of all the details. The operator will select which router should inject the packet in the network. So let's pick 70. When I hit submit, the service portal goes in SAM and creates the test for this service that was just provisioned. It will start the test on 5620 SAM. SAM will ask the routers to inject a packet in the network to the other router on the other ring. We wait for the router to get the results. Once the router gets the results, it gets put in the 5620 SAM, and then the service portal removes the service test on the SAM. All the results gets reported back to the service portal, and the only thing the operator is concerned is that it succeeded the packet ping from one end to the other end. So now we're very, very confident that this service is actually up and running. If you have SLA requirements for this service, you may want to validate them looking at the results back. It will tell you what the round trip delay is, making sure it's below to what you have committed to your customer. Now this is just one example of provisioning a service end-to-end that we have done for some customers. I'm going to show you some different one later of different types of provisioning. So let's go see what will happen on 5620 SAM. So if I click this window here, we go to 5620 SAM, and if we go manage composite service, in this case it was a composite service, and there is one composite service created in Europe that I just provisioned. Let's look at the topology of that service. So now the 5620 SAM brings the topology, and you can see how the service was stitched end to end. So the VPLS service is in the ring 1. These are the blue lines, purple lines there are the backup point-to-point services. So let me just lay it out like the slide there. So move this around, and as you can see on the right is the other ring. It's the other ring that has a VPLS instance, and in the core in this case happens to be VLL. But it shows you basically that your service traffic is coming in this SAP, going on this VPLS service, binding to the tunnels that were created, going onto the VLL services in the core, spoke to the tunnels in the core, and comes out to the other side of the ring 2, and there's another VPLS there. It kind of shows you the topology. Now let's go back to the portal. If we go back to the portal, if we delete this service, you'll see how it reverses everything. If it's the last service deleted on this network, it will actually delete tunnels. So let's look here. If we go in edit mode, and I can now perform delete this point-to-point service. If I say yes, it will start undoing all the work that I had done previously. So let's bring up the 620 SAM here. You're going to see this service just got deleted because it no longer exists, and then you're going to see that the tunnels are going to start getting cleaned up application. So down on the side. Now it's going to do all the work it needs to do to clean up the network by even removing the unused SDP tunnels. That completes the demo of this one here. Basically, I just want to show you how easy it is to provision, how it is easy to run a test on the network, and then you're pretty confident that the service is up and running. Thank you very much.